Today is really an exciting day for us because one of our members, Exhibition Place, is truly a leader in waste diversion and has taken a huge interest in advancing organics recovery. In addition to Exhibition Place having representation on our board of directors, they've been very stalwart in terms of ensuring that the materials that they're using are compostable in terms of the supplies. And so we're quite excited that we have both Brian and Mark, as well through the support of Ron Mills, to give you a perspective on what's happening at Exhibition Place. So Jolena, if you want to go ahead and just talk about the technology dynamics, and then we can just move through into the presentation.
Thanks, Susan. So if everyone can just hold their questions until the end, then you can either ask the question orally by, there's a little hand button you can press and I'll mute you. Otherwise, there's a chat box that you can type your question in and then I will ask it for you. We're also interested in the total number of people presenting or listening to this presentation. So if right now you can type in the number of people that you have in your group, in the chat box, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Mark Goss. I'm General Manager of Operations, and with me is Brian Dow, Facilities Coordinator. Today we're going to lead you through our webinar called Leading the Way in Waste Management and Sustainable Development at Toronto's Exhibition Place. I'll lead off this afternoon giving you a brief rundown of who we are and what we do here on the ground. Brian will then take over and talk about how we're leading the way in waste management, and then I'll follow up with some of our sustainable development initiatives that we're doing here on the grounds. Okay, so let's get started. Okay. We're a local board of the City of Toronto. All our assets here at Exhibition Place are owned by the City of Toronto. All of our surpluses are paid to the City of Toronto, as well as they cover off any deficit that we have in our operations. Under the City of Toronto Act of 2006, it was kind of delegated out what we could do here at the park. And kind of our purposes for being, we can do parks and exhibitions. We have a trade center and agricultural fairs, agricultural activities, sporting event, and athletic contests, public entertainment and meeting, and any other purposes that the City Council may approve. Here we are 192 acres with 53 acres of parkland within 10 minutes of the city center. This year we'll be home to the annual 137th annual CNE and the 93rd Royal Agricultural Winter Fair. On the grounds, we have a direct energy center, which is a 1 million square foot continuous floor space, actually the 6th largest in North America, where we hold a lot of our trade shows, and the Allstream Centre, which is a conference center, which is 160,000 square feet, recently renovated to the tune of $50 million, and it has City of Toronto's largest open ballroom at roughly 44,000 square feet. We're also a hub for public transit, both regionally and local, with the TTC and the GO Train service. What we are Canada's largest entertainment venue, attracting between 5.2 and 5.3 million visitors annually. We host more than 350 events annually and 100 trade and consumer shows. We have 22 buildings and structures, and 8 of them are designated by Ontario Heritage Act. We have 12 permanent long-term tenants. We are the home of BMO Field, or our BMO Field is the home of the Major League Soccer team, the Toronto Football Club. Ricoh Coliseum is home of the AHL Toronto Marlies, and presently on our far west end of the grounds, we are building a new Raptors practice facility. What also should be noticed about us is we produce approximately $400 million a year annually in direct economic impact to the City of Toronto. So I've given you a little rundown of who we are and what we are. I mean, we were established in 1879. We have roughly 300 year-round staff plus non-unit and management employees, as well as 55 unionized janitorial staff. And Exhibition Place promotes green technology as is the leader in waste management, sustainable initiatives, and environmental showcase venue, as well as an economic enterprise and a meeting place for Canada's diverse communities. So with that, I'd like to turn you over to Brian, who will talk about the waste management.
Thank you, Mark. Good afternoon. My name is Brian Dell. I'm a facility coordinator at Exhibition Place. I've been an employee at Exhibition Place for approximately 34 years, and I have been tasked, one of my main tasks actually is to oversee, coordinate, and make sure that we are as green as possible when it comes to our carbon footprint. So I'm going to speak to you this afternoon on what our objectives are under the waste management. This program will inform participants on how Exhibition Place efficiently manages waste in a lawful and coordinated manner. It will visually explain how waste is collected, managed, and facilitated through our property. So some of the examples of the events we had last year were the Green Living Show, which we actually did an audit of through an outside contractor. You'll see the results shortly. The Honda Indy in Toronto, obviously in the summertime. The National Home Show, which is coming shortly. The Toronto Sportsman's Show, which is about to start this coming weekend. The Toronto International Boat Show, Toronto Caribbean Carnival, and of course, as Mark mentioned, the largest and longest annual running fair in the world, the Canadian National Exhibition. So what is solid waste? I'm sure we all are familiar with these pictures of the bulldozers running over the dirt. It's a waste stream that's classified as non-recyclable, divertible, or reusable. Substances or objects which are disposed of or are intended to be as directed by provincial law. So here are the examples of the waste streams that Exhibition Place diverts, and all of these make up our diversion rates, which I will talk about at the end of the seminar. The first being cardboard, which is a large portion. It has to be non-wax coated, which a lot of people will know is what fruit is shipped in, and it has to be dry. We ship it to our contractor, who then sends it out for mulching and chewing it up into making it into a lower grade paper product. Our office and show paper can be anything from a leaflet handed out from a show, our office paper collected throughout our grounds, as well as newspapers. Again, they are also sent to the same supplier who will chop it up, shred it, and turn it into lower grade papers. Organic waste, which is one of our largest waste streams we collect and separate, is done through totes and also through compostable hand towel bags in our washroom. Planet Earth collects that and takes it off to Allstream for composting and turning back into a usable product. Paper hand towels are also done the same way. They're collected through clear compostable bags so we can see any contaminants, and they are picked up through a 32 cubic yard system and taken to Allstream for composting again. Plastic wrap and bags. We just finished the boat show, and we're currently bringing in some boats with the Sportsman Show. All these boats come protected in a large film plastic. We collect, bale, and recycle that. That is sent through our contractor to a recycler. And an example of this year's boat show, we did 18 bales of plastic, which are about the size of a fridge and weigh about 600 kilograms each. Wood can be anything from a 2x4 or a piece of construction wood to a skid. It cannot be arborited or plastic coated wood. Again, we will send that to our contractor, who sends it off for chipping and shredding and turning it into other wood products. Commingled, as we like to call it, it's glass, cans, plastic, or cartons, are collected on the show floors and throughout the show grounds during the summertime. We collect that, separate it, and keep it in a 40-yard bin, and the City of Toronto picks that up and separates that at their transfer station. The metal obviously is separated out and cubed and sent off for metal recycling. The plastic is sorted by grade, and the cartons and glass are also sorted and sent off for recycling. Carpet and underpadding is collected through the shows. We have vast amounts after some shows. The underpadding is kept separate. It is chewed up and sent out for recycling to be made back into underpadding. The carpet is shaved and turned into a lower grade carpet, with the backing fiber being turned into the fan shrouds behind automobile engines. Clean fill and soil and sand. An example, last year during the CNE, we collected over 600 tons of sand in steel 20-yard bins, sent it to Peachtree Farms, where it was sifted and turned back in to be mixed into compostable dirt sold through the nurseries. So any soil or sand, we always make an effort to make sure it doesn't end up in a landfill. Cooking oils and grease are collected by one of our contractors, Wardlaw Farms. We have 300-gallon tanks, which they will come and empty during a regular basis, including the summer with the CNE on. and they turn it into biodegradable fuel and other products such as animal feeds. Hay and manure, we have a vast amount of that coming from the Royal Winter Fair, and also the C&E is sent up north to the different farms through Tabor Contracting, where it is turned into the fields to be mixed in as a natural composting agent. Our hazardous waste, we try not to have any, but unfortunately we do have some, and that could be anything from a paint to a solvent, anything that would not go down a residential or commercial drain. We will keep separate, and we will have our contractor come in, and we will dispose of it either through incineration or through safe landfill. It's up to the nature of the product that regulates that. Our miscellaneous plastics can be anything from a PVC piece of piping to a resin chair or even hard plastic skids. We will collect that and send it off in a 40-yard bin to our contractor, who will then find a source to have it chipped up and made into lower grade plastics, an example of which you'll see coming up in one of our pictures. One of our good news stories is the polyrene styrofoam foam. We used to have a great deal of difficulty trying to find a home for that, but we did down in Hamilton through a company where it is sent down, degassed, shipped up into small bits, and then put back into the injection molding industry, where it is turned into cases for phones, computers, etc. Our various metals and steel. Steel has been recycled for many, many, many decades. We keep it collected together into a 20-yard bin, where our contractor will then sift and sort according to the type of steel, if it's aluminum or brass. If it's a higher grade steel such as copper, we will keep that separate, or stainless steel, and go after the credit values if they're available. Street sweepings are done through our street DST4 and DST6 vacuum street sweepers. They literally pick up everything, and we take them to Compound 60, where they're sifted and put into 20-yard bins, which then our contractor will use as a spread on his site once cleaned of any type of debris or garbage. Concrete, asphalt, and bricks, again, can be recycled. They can be broken down and crushed through our contractors and turned back into new products, especially asphalt. Grass and foliage is collected not only by our housekeeping staff, but also by Metro Parks. We have large bins that we will collect that. It is taken to a composting facility that the city runs, where it is chipped and turned back into mulch for different uses throughout the city in southern Ontario. When it comes to our seating, any types of seats, if it's a stadium seat or a seat left behind from a show, we will separate the plastic from the steel, and that will be also recycled through the system. A big one for us too is the lamps and balances. We have numerous lamps, as all would know, that come down to our facility for fluorescence, and we have metal halide as well as mercury vapor, and the balances are all collected, separated, and we go after the most important waste stream of all out of that, which is the mercury. It does not leave and go into a landfill. Disposable and rechargeable batteries. We have a public program that we have in our Galleria of the Trigeneration Centre, where we collect and encourage the public to bring down any type of alkaline or nickel-cadmium battery, as well as lithium-ion, and we take it through raw materials to have it recycled. Vehicle tires are collected to a shippable quantity, where our contractor will come down with a bin, and we will then ship it off to have it chipped into, made into matting for factory floors, etc., along with those kinds of lines. Fridges and freezers would be degassed through our HVAC department. They have to be before they can be shipped on the highway. Once they're degassed and tagged, that freon will be recycled, and the fridge would then be considered scrap metal, or the freezer. Electronic waste and scrap wire. So anything that can be plugged into a wall, such as a computer, printer, or even a battery-powered item such as a phone, we will collect, and once we have a shippable quantity, we have a company that is local, just north of the grounds in the Stark area, that will come and pick up our electronic waste and properly recycle it, to the point that none of this waste will leave the North American continent. A good news story. Plastic, Coroplexx, and vinyl signage produced in-house by our sign shop is all done on materials that are recyclable. We do insist on doing two-sided banners when it comes to signage, so that we maximize the use of that piece of vinyl. And any Coroplexx or plastic, once it's been time dated and can't be reused, we will send it out to recycling, where it's chipped up and made into lower grades of plastic. And last but not least, our international food waste. We have Sial and ZEC coming in the next few months. This is non-regulated food waste that will come in and bypass the regular inspection processes. The Canada Federal Inspection Agency is aware of this, and they will monitor it. We collected off the show floor. Last time the show was here in 2013, we took approximately 1 ton to Brampton and had it incinerated through Iroquois recycling. A bit of a breakdown of our waste streams in 2013. You can see the larger numbers are cardboard, organic, and wood, with 15% of that waste stream that year being non-recycled or solid waste as it's called. So what is the definition of separation? Is to collect, separate, dispose, and divert any materials. So this will help companies to regulate and is intended to help the companies understand source separation, how materials are to be collected, what items can be disposed of together, and what items must be separated. Programs that include source separation reduce the risk of recyclables being contaminated and sent to landfill. At present, Exhibition Place is in compliance with source separation regulations. And the regulations I refer to are the Ministry of Environment, Ontario Regs 103-94. We've attached a link there if anyone's interested in seeing more about that regulation. And the symbol that everyone, I'm sure, is aware of at the bottom was created in 1970. It's a universal recycling symbol. You'll find it on most plastics, and it has a number inside which will tell you the purity of the plastic and the number of times it's been recycled. So Ontario landfill costs are rising. How do we find an alternative? By reducing, reusing, and recycling. It's the responsibility of each person who generates waste to apply the 3 R's when disposing of their waste. Incineration is not considered an alternative in Ontario. Ontario landfills have banned a number of items, of which I will show you some pictures of coming up. So Exhibition Place, we have on-site work waste reduction plan. It is posted, as you can see. Here's an example of one of our bulletin boards. The plan is posted for all of our employees to read and understand. We also have other literature in there, graphs showing our increases in the percentage over the last 4 years, as well as that list I read off of all our different waste streams. It's posted basically to educate as well as give knowledge when workers might become forgetful on what we are diverting down at Exhibition Place. All staff must comply and be aware of the MOE guidelines as found in the WRWP, as well as the goals which are to reduce, reuse, and recycle at Exhibition Place. Here's our Green Living Show. This was done by an outside contractor. You can see when the waste stream was dissected, very little needed to be landfill. You can see the larger numbers of glass and compostable materials as being 2 of the large items which were drawn out, and it was literally a hand sort audit that was done. So this is how our waste comes to us at Exhibition Place. Unfortunately, we don't have it shipped to us. It comes mixed after a show leaves. An example of a post-event show floor will show all the different waste streams that our housekeeping staff must go through, separate, collect, and put the appropriate streams into the bins that are labeled for them. One more picture there. That's of our industry building after one of our recent events. So this is what our waste streams will look like once we have sorted them. Our commingled or glass, metals, and cans could consist of pop cans or Coke cans, any type of tin. Our plastic bottles would be from water or any other clear substance. And then our juice or milk cartons can also be recycled through the same process. The carpet is usually commercial grade, bottom left picture. And our paper can come either as a newsprint or as a show literature or office from the paper from our offices, sorry. Our hand towel is brown craft hand towel. We usually put it into a clear compostable bag so that it is collected in our 10-yard bins, transferred into our 30-yard bins, and then taken to Allstream for composting. Our electronic waste is also collected. An example there on the left would be anything that was plugged into the wall or is a battery-powered piece of equipment, as well as our signage on the right. This is some examples of our in-house signage that we produce and we recycle through our contractors. Box cardboard, or OCC, it's known in the industry. Any plastic has to come off, but the tape is all right. They will recycle with the tape on it. These 4-stream bins are 100% recyclable. Our CEO, Diane Young, made sure that we were to buy any products to be used in our industry should have 100% content, and these do. They're made from plastic woods, and we have a large number of these that we use constantly throughout our public and trade and consumer shows. Some other examples of our waste stream collectible recyclable bins. These are 3 that we would possibly use in a catered area, such as a food and restaurant. beverage restaurant, or out on the grounds during the CNE and the outside summer events. Our 4-stream cans are located at the entrances to most of our main buildings. They provide the public with a 4-stream diversion process as they enter the building. These are our 3-stream stainless steel bins. They have been spread out throughout our grounds. They also have an advertising poster. The poster in here is something that Mark will be speaking about. It's one of our initiatives. There is a total of 14 located year-round throughout the grounds, as well as another 86 on top of that, which are out throughout the grounds to collect any public waste as people travel through our site. This is our map showing where they are located, and the ones with the numbers are where our initiatives are located in those bins. Example of our loading docks we have on the right set up for our organics, which is a big waste stream. The smaller ones, the 32-gallon totes, are for the heavier waste streams. The larger ones, the 64 gallons, are for the lighter paper, popcorn, and compostable cutlery that we encourage our in-house caterer to use. On the left is our mixed paper bins, which are usually hand sorted by our housekeeping staff prior to being loaded into our trucks to be taken to our contractors. Our 10-yard bin on the left would be something that we could change the signage on and use to collect any waste stream we want, and it's moved by one of our own in-house vehicles. As well as the grease bin on the right belongs to ward law, and it is for collecting of the waste cooking oils. Our Gaylords, 2 pictures for carpet on the left and we signage on them for the electronics on the right. This is our compound 60, where we have our main bins that we transfer our smaller 10-yard bins into for collection. The first one hand towel, second one commingled, and then waste and wood, as well as we have a smaller one up there for steel. Our success stories from 2011 to current. In 2011, we were at 68.44%, and last year, we had 85.85, which was an aggressive number, only achieved through all the support of our in-house housekeeping staff and other departments. So you can see our diversion rate was marginally up, but still it's moving in the right direction for us, and we want to thank all of our staff for having these successful numbers. We were so successful that we were awarded, after being audited by CR certified, a platinum level, which was the first time in Ontario that this award was ever given to a company. It recognizes through all the hard work and an audit that we are real in our numbers and the efforts that we have achieved through the support of our upper management and our housekeeping staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Brian has talked about our recycling and composting initiatives. I'll now talk about some of our sustainability initiatives. Back in 2004-2005, Exhibition Place conducted a self-sufficiency study with a view to looking at how we become grid neutral electrically by the year 2010. We put out an initial plan, but unfortunately, due to some unfavorable rulings by the Ontario Energy Board, some of our PV initiatives were limited in how far we could go with them. So what we said, well, we're not going to let that deter us. We're going to keep going on, and we decided we're going to continue to strive to become energy self-sufficient. We identified 3 main focuses that allowed this to happen. First was through changing our operational procedures. Second was by replacing equipment with more efficient, high-efficiency equipment. And by third, it was generation of electricity. So I'll go through now some of the initiatives that allowed us to, as of last year, we had on our 25 gigawatt hours of power consumption, we have reduced that by 40%. So first I'd like to talk about the Geothermal Program at the press building. Now we had an issue came up where the air handling unit, which was gas-fired, DX cooled, was failing. So we thought we have to replace a piece of equipment. So we thought, as part of our initiative, how do we do that as energy efficient as possible? And because we had property available in a parking lot next to the building, we decided to go geothermal. Now geothermal, what that basically does, it takes advantage that the ground temperature, once you get down to a certain level, stays relatively around 55 degrees year-round. So in the summertime, you use that as a heat sink, and in the wintertime, you extract that heat out of the ground to produce heat in the building. So we have on that building a distribution field of piping that has 16 boreholes, which go down 450 feet each, which we put a loop of glycol through that. We circulate that glycol through the ground and back into the building, where it is then distributed to 8 localized heat pumps, which produce heat in the winter and cold air for cooling in the summer at a much more energy efficient way than we used to. Compared to the old air handling unit that used to provide that service, we reduced our electricity consumption by 44% and our natural gas consumption by 98%. Another initiative we did was green roofs at Exhibition Place. On our north extension, we have a 22,000-foot green roof, and on our horse piles, we had a trial 2,500 square foot plant. Now, what this does, the green roof, said, well, what's the advantage of having a green roof? It does a number of things. It improves air quality. During a major storm, you have a lot of storm water retention, which is held on the roof rather than hitting the storm sewers and flooding out the system. It temperature regulates the building, because in the summertime where you have a black fitness roof, maybe 150 degrees Fahrenheit on the hot black roof, because these plants are alive, as part of their living process, they aspire water. Because they aspire water, that evaporates off them and drops the roof temperature. So the roof temperature of a green roof is no different than the ambient outside air temperature. It insulates our building in the wintertime, and it was reviewed that if 6% of all the roofs in Toronto converted to green roof in the summertime, we could drop the summer hot day temperature by 2 degrees C. The next was the DEC lighting retrofits. A couple of years ago, we did the first stage, which was take all of those high bay lighting that you see in the picture here and convert them. Originally, they were 1,000-watt fixtures in each one of those light sources you see there. And what we did is we converted them to a high-efficiency 450-watt. Well, we're not satisfied with that. We need further savings from electrical. We also are doing a project this year to reduce those 450-watt lights down to 150 watts without any appreciable lighting level difference. This does a number of things. It saves a lot of electricity, but it also saves us indirect power, because all those 11 or 1,000 watts of heat is not being given off by those lights. It's only 150 watt per light. So, and the effect of it reduces our air conditioning load in the summertime, which then also reduces our electrical consumption. DEC streetlights. In the drawing, you can see the regular high-pressure sodium lights, and they appear as an orangey-yellow color. And the white lights are the LED lights. Now, the advantage of you can go with a lower wattage fixture in the LED, but it appears actually to be brighter than the higher wattage high-pressure sodium. So we are presently changing those out throughout the ground, and we expect that the difference in electrical usage will be approximately 50% of the high-pressure sodium cost, and that the fixtures themselves will last 5 times longer. LED pathway lighting. This was an energy initiative project we did. We received funding from a number of different sources for this because we did it as an experiment. We are reducing the wattage of the light, but we also put what was called a smart technology. We changed from high-pressure sodium to LED, but we also put motion sensors on the lights. So typically, if there's nobody on the pathway, the lights operate at roughly 50% capacity. Then if somebody walks along the path, the motion sensors detect that there's somebody there, and we come up to 100% lighting level. And as they walk by, you see it go down. Now, or that goes down behind them. Now, when you're walking that path, you see no difference in the lighting levels. But when you stand back and look at the lights that somebody walked, you can see the lights light up in front of them and then dim down behind them. And we expect total energy savings out of that of approximately 85%. Our Trigeneration project. This was put back in 2005, and what it is a gas-fired 26-cylinder gas engine with a 1.6 megawatt generator attached to it. You say, well, how is that a green project? Well, what we look to do is say, how do we make it as energy efficient as possible so that we make it a sustainable project and a model for others? When you put gas into an engine to run it, 30% of the energy of that gas is used as waste heat. 30% of that is actually used to turn the torque of a turbine, and 30% of it goes up in heat. So what up the stack in waste heat and byproducts. So what we said is we're going to capture the the heat given off by the generator and what goes up the stack. So we took the cooling loop that was on the generator, and we capture the water in that through a heat exchanger and capture that hot water. In the stack, we put another heat exchanger where we drop the stack gas's temperature just above the dew point and extract the heat out of that. That hot water is then used to preheat our boilers, feed water in the wintertime, and in the summertime, why it's called trigeneration, is we use that hot water, run that through a chemical absorption chiller, and we actually produce chilled water with the byproduct of heat. So we've got, this uses, satisfies approximately 30% of the energy needs of the Direct Energy Center, and provides an energy reduction of about 7,400 tons equivalent of CO2 emissions. Solar voltaic. Our first plant was on the horse palace roof, and at the time it was 100 kilowatts, and at that time it was the largest PV plant in Canada. It was put in with 3 different angles of proposed to find out which is the best angle to put PV cells on, and we tried different inverter technologies to find out for Canada what was the best arrangement. Because all the data that we were able to ascertain at the time came from Tucson, Arizona. Now the sun in Tucson, Arizona is a little bit different than that of Canada, so we use this to get information for the solar industry within Ontario. Since that first installation, we have now grown to 600 kilowatts installed by having different technologies of PV on our Better Living Center, which uses a tube format for a PV cell, and on our East Annex, where we have another plant that generates electricity as well. Trektop wind turbine. It is Canada's largest urban turbine. It's a 600 kilowatt generator. It has a gearless generator on it, and it just, as the wind blows, it turns and it produces electricity. You'll sometimes see that it's not running. That only happens when A, there's not enough wind to turn it, or B, there's too much wind and the velocity of the blades would be too high and you'd have structural failure. So the governor only runs when the wind's the right direction and at the right flow rate. And again, that saves us up to 1,800 tons of carbon dioxide annually, and has generated over 6.2 million kilowatts of electricity since its inception in 2005. Back pressure steam turbine. We put a new high efficiency boiler plant in our mid-arch complex, and we decided how do we make it more efficient. So we thought we'll use some of the wasted enthalpy of the steam and convert it into electricity. So what we use, we take the steam out of the boiler, and normally we use something called a back pressure valve to reduce it down to a distribution pressure. But rather than using a back pressure valve, we run it through the turbine to provide the same function, and what that results is gas as it blows through the turbine, spins the turbine, turns an axle on a generator, a shaft on a generator, and we can produce up to 250 kilowatts of electricity on a cold day. And we estimate this will replace 300,000 kilowatts of electricity per year. Our district energy system, again, we look to our exhibition place, the Direct Energy Center. We have this large heating and cooling plant, but we're not always able to run it at peak efficiency because sometimes we have shows in where we run everything, and sometimes we don't, and sometimes we have partial loads. And so we looked at how do we run this equipment as efficient as possible, and the best way to do that was to put more load on. So we came up with an arrangement with, there's a new hotel being built on our grounds, that we would provide them with the heating and cooling in the form of hot water and cold water from our existing plant, now operating at a very efficient level, and that saved the hotel from having to put all that infrastructure of chillers and boilers into the plant. Allstream. LEED certification. We spent back in 2009 $50 million to take the automotive building at the time and turn that into a world-class LEED Silver certified conference center. We take advantage of natural day lighting. All the water closets and urinals are flushed with water that we capture off the roof in two 1,200-gallon tanks that are buried under the south lawn. We went all with low VOC, i.e. you don't have nasty off-gassing for the carpets, the paints, and the furniture. We have 114 different heat pumps throughout the building, so we only heat and cool the areas that are occupied, therefore leaving the other at, we'll go as low as 55 degrees or as high as 85 degrees Fahrenheit for the areas of the building that aren't being used. And then that adds to the fact that we don't save as much money as opposed to having to heat the whole or cool the whole building when only a certain portion of it's being used. We use CO2 sensors to control the amount of fresh air that was required for the building. Therefore, that saves on our energy usage. This year, we just achieved the LEED Gold certification, existing building and maintenance for the Direct Energy Centre. A grounds-wide team was involved in this effort, and a big part of that was the recycling program, which ensured over 70% of the regular occupant and show waste was recouped. We had state-of-the-art low-flow fixtures to the point now that 85% of the water consumption in that building is through evaporation on the cooling towers on the roof for the chillers, not through flushing fixtures. We also include the lighting system so that we put occupancy sensors so that if there's nobody in the rooms, the lights go off. We switched to all low VOC paints and cleaning materials and changed all of our operating procedures to meet the requirements for LEED Gold. A big initiative was the Green Smart program at Exhibition Place, because it's no good just having one or two people involved in energy conservation. So we thought, how do we bring that and spread that to the whole grounds to get buy-in from everybody? So we established the Green Smart program, which takes people from different departments, and we had a goal, the original goal of 80% waste diversion and net electrical self-sufficiency. We did this because it brings in ideas from around the grounds and also lets you know what different areas need in order to how do you prioritize how you use electricity on the grounds, plus to roll out the changes that we wanted in procedures and equipment. We've now actually included and rolled this out to the shows where we have different events called the Stamp of Approval, where we actually give awards to the vendors and the concessionaires and the tenants who are the highest energy efficient in our shows. And that's all supported by the Green Team. Our procurement policies, we've adopted for the building and grounds wide now a green sustainable procurement process. We had to do this for the Allstream and the DEC in order to get the LEED certification. We said, well, why not do it grounds wide? So reduce waste. We buy products that are better for the environment and that actually can be recycled into something at the end of life, and that fewer polluting products end up in landfills. What motivates us as an organization? We strive to get the application of new technologies. You put one technology, different groups will then come down and say, we want to exhibit our technology at your facility. That helps fund some of these initiatives. Sustainable development. We're here for the long haul. We all have children and grandchildren. We want this place to be here for them. Customer satisfaction. It's fine enough to say we can go turn all the lights off and save all the energy, but if that doesn't, it's not equitable to our show management and our customers. We have to say, what's the next best step? So how do we bring them on board to reduce our energy level, yet make it so it's a pleasurable experience for them? Increase operating efficiencies. Some of our biggest savings came from simply turning things off that everybody would leave on. So that's kind of what we have done here at the Exhibition Place in a brief, in a nutshell. So we've told you about who we are. We've talked about our recycling and composting regimens, as well as the initiatives that we've done in sustainability projects. Are there any questions?
It's Jolene here. Wow, it does look like you're doing quite a bit of work there and getting lots of fabulous results. So if people do have questions, like I said, type them into the chat or raise your hand and I'll unmute you. There was one question that came in during the presentation from Nicole Heber, asking, why are international food waste incinerated? Are these items originally imported under regulations?
Hi, it's Brian Dow. Answering that question, we are governed and guided by the federal government of Canada, the Food Inspection Agency, on how to handle that type of waste. This is brought in as a sample product in this event, and basically what it will do is bypass the normal regulations for inspection, and as a precaution, the federal government does not want any possible contaminations to be put into our ground or into our water systems, so they actually follow the waste that is collected from that event up to the incineration facility, and we get a certificate ensuring that it has been destroyed and will not cause a possible harm in our environment.
All right, so hopefully that answers. So this would be like the international food, is it a one event?
Yeah, it's just the one. No, you're correct. It's just the one event that comes in with this, and it's about a dozen exhibitors that will get special permission through the federal government to bring in this sample product.
I see. So very small portion of your waste stream.
Very small portion, and unfortunately we do not have the control. We have to follow what the federal government has said is best overall for Canada as a whole.
Excellent. Okay, next question from Karen Hogan, asking, how often do you do waste audits?
Our waste audits are done actually after every event. When we track our waste at Exhibition Place, we do our invoicing. All of our invoicing is verified by scale tickets. So basically every single show is audited. At the end we can see what our percentages are. We do a once a year independent audit by a separate company that will come in, pick one show, and do that audit. And with the 3R certification platinum level, it's an annual recertification. So we are now good for 3 years, but every year we have to recertify and verify that our stories are real here.
So quite a few.
As many shows as we have, yes.
That's excellent. Debbie Sanderson, I assume she's a co-worker for you. She said that you guys did a great presentation, and I have to agree with her. Are there any other questions?
It's Susan. I am thankful for the leadership of Exhibition Place, and certainly it's spelled out in terms of the individuals as well as the overall guidance. IC&I sector is about 2/3 of the waste stream generation. What words of advice do you have if you were to start over again in terms of waste management and going into diversion? What would be the key areas that you would reco for folks in the IC&I category to look at?
I would say when you're actually looking at your waste streams, the most important thing of all is education, because your team is what makes you a success. You have to evaluate. It's not too bad an idea to bring in an outside consultant to evaluate what you have and if it is in a market that could be shipped on a regular basis or on a holding basis. But basically, I would say education of your staff is critical, and a constant refresher to make them aware of up and new coming technologies and the ever-changing recycling market, because things do change. New streams will come in, and some will change with the type of collection and how you do it at that time. You're welcome.
Can you tell us a little bit, without divulging all the secrets, what's going on at Exhibition Place in terms of the Pan Am Games? It's pretty exciting over the next while. How will you incorporate the messages to the athletes, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, one of the initiatives led by Brian was, for example, on all of our large waste diversion, or all of our large waste diversion stations, he's put posters with all of our green initiatives. So that's one of the way we do the broadcast. Because people go down and say, okay, Pan Am Games, they go on to Exhibition Place website, we post it on there. So we try to get this out to the public as much as possible, and then we try to lead the Pan Am to when they're making their decisions that these are our numbers, this is what's important to us, please participate.
Okay.
You're welcome.
So the other thing that for those that are listening, that we find very exciting is that Canada Blooms, which is part of the National Home Show, is going to be here at Exhibition Place in a couple of weeks. And the Compost Council of Canada is going to be actively involved in that. We are hoping, this is the International Year of Soils, and so we've been working with Exhibition Place as well as Canada Blooms to make sure that we can get as big a message out there in terms of the use of compost and the relevance of compost in the soil. We're also, just so you know, we're hoping that we will be able to use the forum for announcements about the Compost Quality Alliance initiative. So we're very pleased that we'll be able to do it in the backdrop, knowing that this is the venue of one of our members and that the organics recycling is being done here. So, thank you. Are there any other questions?
I have a few. This is Jolene again. Is there any particular waste streams that you've diverted that you're most proud of?
I would say yes. It's Brian answering on this one again. Organics have been a very large part of our efforts and our diversion waste streams at Exhibition Place, as you can see by our numbers and our graphs. We constantly have show meetings with our show to figure out exactly what their needs are. We aggressively go after any of the subcontractors that might be selling food, as well as collecting the compost off the show floor in our forest stream bins. It's about adjusting your plan to each individual event and making sure that you're covering and not letting those compostables go out into the regular waste. We also make an aggressive effort to collect the hand towels, as I mentioned earlier, through clear bags, which are compostable. The reason they're clear is that we can see if there's too much contamination, we will stop and pull that back, and if we have to sort it through to remove it. So it's just the brown 100% craft recycled hand towel that is going to compost. We also go to great efforts to make sure that we have the proper bins located around the grounds to collect these hand towels at the various events. And this year during our C&E, or sorry, last year during our C&E in the food building, we had all of our compost collected in a compactor and taken to Allstream for that entire fair, which was 18 days plus the move-out period. Another waste stream that we're extremely proud of at Exhibition Place is the polystyrene foam. It's a great amount of work to separate it. It can't be blue in color, it can't be pink in color, it can only be white. We have to remove any tape and impurities. But last year we sent 3 tractor trailer loads, that's 53-foot-long trailers, down to Hamilton to a company called ESP Solutions that we found. And they're averaging only 400 kilograms a load, but if you can picture 28 large bags that are 4 cubic yards inside filled with styrofoam, it's a great news story, because in the research I've done, there is no composting life for a styrofoam cup, which means 10,000 years from now, as long as it hasn't been contaminated by chemicals, it could still be a cup in the ground. So it's a good news story for us here at Exhibition Place.
Okay, and another emerging issue that people are very concerned about is food waste, and especially from these events when maybe there's untouched food. Does any of this, before it gets composted, is there effort made to divert it to shelters or food banks?
Yes, a lot of times that's actually done through the shows themselves. If they have exhibitors that are bringing large quantities of food in, that will be prearranged by the event. And if we see a large enough quantity afterwards, we will reach out to the food bank to make an effort to at least have them come down and have a look. If they don't want it for whatever reason, then it will go into the composting system to be properly composted through Planet Earth.
So what other improvements do you see in terms of your diversion practices that maybe in the future, next year, or in the future to come?
I think what we would like to do here, as Mark had mentioned earlier, on our 3-stream stainless steel bins, which are supposed to be out there for 50 years, that's what we were told the shelf life was, and they're about a third of the way through it right now, is to reach out to the public and educate them what our success stories here are at Exhibition Place, to create a poster similar to the one that was in the presentation, which will show the last 4 years and the improvements that we have made and what we hope to gain, as well as basically reaching out to our staff, who are the ones that are making all this happen. And we've had the support of the upper management, so that's not an issue. It's just making sure that our new staff that's hired is as well educated as our current staff in maintaining and improving our recycling efforts and diversion efforts at Exhibition Place.
All right. If anyone has any questions, once again, but switching gears, I'm not as well versed in the energy conservations, but could you tell me which of the initiatives that you have in terms of energy efficiency, which was the most cost effective?
Our most cost effective initiative was turning things off when you're not using them. Costs you nothing and the savings are huge. It's a mindset change that you don't have to have the lights on, all lit up in a hall just in case somebody might want to walk through there sometime during the day. If you turn it off, the turn-off factor costs you nothing, and the savings are huge. You go to 100% efficiency as soon as you turn it off.
Sounds pretty easy.
It costs you nothing.
Okay, another question about the Pan Am Games and going back to waste disposal. Will the signage for the waste disposal units, will they be provided in several languages, or what kind of targeted campaign will you have for educating the athletes and the people that are there?
It's a very interesting question. Yes, we could definitely do something in-house. We have a sign shop that is extremely talented with producing signage. One thing we do a lot of down at Exhibition Place is our signages are in English. However, we put a picture on there, and I call that multilingual. So we'll basically allow someone that is not speaking the language to see a picture of the item they have in their hand. As they walk up to the waste receptacle, they can hopefully find the right bin location to put whatever object is in their hand into that bin. But yes, we could definitely reach out and create, through the guidance of our marketing department, any signages that might be requested by Pan Am for multilingual.
What are your contamination from not necessarily the events and the in-house people you have, but from people attending that don't get the information beforehand?
One thing I've observed is most people that, as they walk up to one of our 4-stream or 3-stream bins, they will make the effort, they'll stop, they'll look, and they'll make the effort to try to put it into the right bin. There are some that don't make too much of an effort, and we hopefully want to have them make the effort. But there are some items that, unfortunately, if they do become contaminated, like, for example, carpet, if it's covered in paint, cardboard, if it becomes wet, these are items that, at that point in time, become solid waste because they're not recyclable. They will just mess up the system. But we do rely a lot on the public assisting us. And as long as we put the bins out there, I think we're covering a large portion of their efforts.
Okay, well, I haven't received any further questions, so I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for providing this insight into the center and for the presentation and for answering the questions that we had. So on behalf of Green Manitoba, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So in a month's time, first Wednesday of every month, thanks to Green Manitoba, we're able to offer these series, and we very much appreciate your participation. Have a good rest of the day. Bye now.